So we're back for another revision on exam questions, and again this is taken from the 2022 exam paper from Educas. So we're going to look a bit more in detail at some of the questions now and hopefully talk you through some of the reasons behind the way that we answer them, the way that we do, really. So this question is basically a standalone question. It's to do with the maths that's in DT, and every exam paper will have something very similar. Usually it's to do with percentages or area or working out costs of some description. So we're going to look at this question now. So it says, B, a retailer tracked the sales of a child's toy over a 4-month period. The table below displays the data collected. So what we have is on one side the sales, and on the other side the month. So we had 1,500 sales in December, 2,500 sales in January, 750 sales in February, and 500 sales in March. So basically all of the information we need to answer the question below is based in this chart here. So it says, in the space below, draw and label a bar chart showing the sales data found in the table above. And you can see that this is out of 3 marks. So we need 3 things ideally to make sure that we get the 3 marks. So just getting the answer right probably isn't going to get the 3 marks. It's just going to get maybe 1 mark, possibly 2, but more likely to be the 1. So where do the other marks come from? Right, well, you can see on the graph below the data that's missing, to be honest. So you'll notice that there's an actual reason that we've got the things on here. So I've put down here, there's a reason that the labels and the graph appear here but do not put here. And basically the first way we can get our marks is we need to put all the data that we can see as regarding to the labeling onto the graph below. So that means we need to label the axes, and we also then need to label any other information that we need onto the graph. In this case it's going to be the months that's on the graph. So that would have got us 1 of the marks, and the next thing we need to do is to draw a bar chart. Now normally their bar charts or their line drawings or whatever it may be that they do here, line graphs, but generally they tend to be bar charts, and the reason they tend to keep it simple is just because of the time it takes to answer these sort of questions and the fact you've only got a 2-hour exam. So let's see if we can get these 3 marks from here, which is pretty easy. So all we need to do is work out now the sales in December. So according to this one it was 1,500, and luckily enough on this chart you can see we've got the 1,500 line here. In January though we had 2,500. So as you can see, if I go up to the line down here, we actually have a line at 2,500. In February there is 750. Now if you look at the scale on the axis here, there isn't a 750 there, but what we do know is the difference between 500 and 1,000 is literally going to be 2,500 if we halve it, because it's 500 between the difference. So if we find the halfway mark, we know that's going to be 750. So the 750 mark is going to be here, and that will be a little trick question that they will always put in, because obviously it's easy to get marks drawing to the lines, but sometimes some of the marks wouldn't be necessarily on there, so you could just do the blocks to fit in with the lines rather than the markings on the side. And then of course in March is 500, so that's on. So your graph would look very similar to this. So you can see now we've actually got in the February one, I've done it halfway. It's slightly over halfway, but it gives the examiner the idea that you know roughly what you're doing. So what I would also do, although I haven't done it on this sort of PowerPoint talking through, is there's not a problem with you actually writing the actual numbers just above as well, but you don't necessarily need it because they're down the side. But if you think that they don't understand it, maybe 750, there's no danger in just writing 750 above them. And so that is an easy way to get 3 marks out of your 100, and you're well on the way now to pretty much completing this sort of section on the maths. So let's have a look at the next part of the question. So the next part of the question looks like this. So just on here we've got the accurate, so this is actually off the mark scheme, where we've got the accurate axis, we've got the accurate scaling, and we've got the accurate drawing of bars, and that's where we would have got 3 marks from. So I've just placed that in just so you can see where the mark scheme is. So everything we've just showed you about doing the axis is where you get the marks from, really. So let's go on to the next part of the question. So for the next part of the question, we need to do a bit of percentages, which is quite common. So it has here that the retailer pays 20% value-added tax VAT on all sales. So calculate how much VAT will need to be paid for the child's toy sales over the 4-month period. So show all the workings out. Now it's not good just writing the answer literally down. You do need to show the working out, because it's telling you here for 2 marks you need to show the working out. So let's see if we can get this for 2 marks, and there's various ways you could do this. So the first thing I'm going to do is look at where it says over the 4-month period. So what I need to do is quite simple. I just need to add all of these together to get a total. So I added what was in December, January, February and March, and I've just made it add up to £5,250. So the next stage you could do to get the VAT and working the percentage is to find the VAT is literally divide 5,250 by 100, which equals 52.5. So basically we've just knocked some of the noughts off the end. So we've got it down to 52.5. And then the rest is really easy from there. So once you've got that 52.5, all we do is times the 52.5 by 20, which equals £1,050. So that's a way of getting the answer correct, and also a way of finding the VAT. But there is a simpler way to do that. Myself, how I would have done this, although the working out is quite easy to do it, is I would literally, knowing that it's 20%, so how many 20s go into 100? Obviously 5. So all I would do is divide 5,250 divided by 5, and that would also have given me the £1,050, and that's how I'd have probably done that in my head if I hadn't got the calculator. But either way, you can check it just to make sure that you've got the right part. Right, so we've now got 5 marks out of 100, so we're well on the way now, and we're looking at the next one, which is worth 5 marks. So we have to spend a bit of time thinking, what does this actually mean, and how can I